Here we are once again with the Bottom Shelf Project, where we are sampling things of questionable nature so you don't have to. Today, our selection was suggested by one of our fine subscribers, Evan Williams. Fine Kentucky straight bourbon. We were talking about this earlier, and I know I've had this at some point or another.
You know, I think it's one of those liquors that I've had, but it wasn't memorable enough to remember I've had it.
And it's just,
I don't know.
The bottle itself has always struck me as one of those that's kind of a go-to shelf brand. If you go to a bar and you order something that's got bourbon in it, it's going to end up being something like this.
Well, it's that or Kentucky Gentleman or whatever that was.
Oh, them fighting words. Me and Kentucky Gentleman have a history to which we will get to on another episode, and I've already threatened both my friend Richard and John that I'm going to get some.
And then we're going to get some.
But today is not that day. Evan Williams, storied history. The bottle says they've been in production since 1783. Probably find that a little bit hard to believe. They probably been bought a couple times, maybe by Diageo or one of the other big distillers. But it is an aged and charcoal filtered bourbon, and it's genuine sour mash. We'll look into some of the particulars of straight bourbon, sour mash bourbon, some of those other things later on.
My question is, are we legit on this Kentucky's first distillery? Okay, first distillery. I thought it said #1 distillery.
Oh, okay.
Because it has a big 1 on it.
First is a little bit easier to believe than the #1
First easier to believe
distillery.
than #1. All right.
I think Mr. Beam and Mr. Daniels may have a little bit, although Jack Daniels is Tennessee whiskey. 43% alcohol by volume, so standard bourbon, got a nice color to it. This was purchased at...
My standby right now is Publix.
Oh, so the local Publix, for how much?
That one was $14.99.
So $14.99 for a full 750 milliliter bottle. So let's get to tasting. I'm gonna crack this new fresh virgin bottle open.
And again, you know, someone requested us to try this one, so
Indeed.
Don't make me hate you.
And shout out to the gentleman who did. We will give credits where credit is due. So there we go.
Or blood debt.
Yeah.
Or blood debt is due. So,
like I said, nice golden color. I don't think that they use any coloration in this, but
let's try that again.
now my olfactory senses aren't the best because of my previous head trauma, but give that a good inhale through both your nose and your mouth at the same time. And other than the initial ethanol smell, the primary thing that's standing out, I really can smell the corn in this.
Is that what I'm smelling?
A sweet corn. There's that typical little bit of woodiness to it from the barrel, but to me that's overwhelming. It's a sweet corn aroma.
Yeah, I got nothing for that, man.
Beyond that, it's not terribly complex.
It's not. It's. I'm going with that ethanol smell, right?
Yeah,
That's
strong
it
in the
is.
ethanol smell. Let's try a little trick that I learned recently from watching the Whiskey Tribe. Something I've never really done before. I'm going to put a couple drops on my hand. Give it the cologne treatment.
Oh.
And what I'm doing is, per their suggestion, this helps evaporate out the ethanol, leave some of the other trace elements that are there.
Well, this sounds like science. I'm all for some science.
Oh yeah.
Science, bitches.
Tell me that's almost like a candy corn. It is so sweet. A little bit of the barrel, the oaky resin.
Okay, now see, that smells much better. That smells...
Without, it evaporates some of that alcohol smell out. And like I said, the sweetness just pops right in. Gets rid of the overwhelming alcohol smell, doesn't deaden up your senses. It's got a good smell to it.
That smells delicious.
That is. That's a good smell. So, knowing that, let's see how this bad boy is neat. Typical bourbon, not drunk neat, but we're going to give it a shot.
See you in the emergency room. Let it drink it.
That scent didn't lie. Again, the first thing on my palate was the first thing on the nose, the sweetness, but yet the woodiness really stronger, especially the longer. And this hangs around with you a little bit too. The longer it hangs around, the more of that woodiness it really starts to kick in.
What was that?
It's got some good warmth to it too.
Oh, there's some warmth to it.
It's a nasty rainy day here outside, and it's far cooler than I want it to be. So that warmth is really welcoming.
I don't know. I'm just not a fan so far.
Well, it's not complex. Very simple, straightforward, upfront. It is what it is.
Yeah, that could be it.
And again, I'll go along with most bourbons you're not going to drink neat like this.
Well, that's true. We should probably put some ice in it, open it up, or just some drops of water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not offensive like Fighting Cock was when we first drank it straight out.
No,
right?
No, that was a punch in the nose. This again, like I said earlier, it strikes me more as just a perennial shelf
Standard.
brand. Yeah, house brand. You want some bourbon? There's a bourbon.
Yeah, there's bourbon. Yeah.
No. It's not offensive. It's not terribly deep. It doesn't have a really broad flavor profile.
I mean,
but it's not bad.
Not bad. It's not. Yeah, it's not offensive. It does. I mean, I don't feel like I'm being violated by drinking it.
No. So we're ready for round 2. We took the easy way out. We ended up just adding a little Coke and throwing in the Evan Williams into it to give it a try. No need to nose it because the cola pretty much blunt everything there.
Cola.
So.
It smells like caramel.
You know, my initial fear was that the Coke was going to hide it, but it doesn't.
It really does not. So here's an interesting comparison. When we put the cola in the Fighting Cock, it got good.
Yeah.
This did not get good.
And it didn't get worse to me, but I will have to agree with you there. It did not get better. It's about the same.
It's about the same.
Yeah, it's about the same for me. It's there. It's consumable. If I came home from a hard day of work and this is all I had, I would gladly drink it, but I would not go out of my way for it.
I wouldn't refill the bottle. Like, if that were my bottle, I would not buy another bottle of it to replenish it.
Yeah, especially if there's anything else available.
I just, to be real honest, it's doing nothing for me.
Well, I've got one last idea.
Science!
Before I get to that, just some thoughts. You know, reflecting back in younger days when we were younger men.
Oh, snap. Okay.
This is not something I could see us ever drinking.
No. So in our youth,
yeah,
I would drink cheap liquors because they were cheap,
and they were liquors,
and they would get you.
They would give you that friendly hit in the head with a brick feeling quickly.
Correct. Yeah, I didn't have to spend a lot to get drunk for cheap. So, because that was the goal, get drunk for cheap. If I drank to enjoy myself, I would not choose this.
No, I have to echo that. For a younger palate, there's not enough real sweetness there. To a cultured palate, then the sweetness of the corn can come out. But to a younger palate, that's harsh, burning. The woodiness is going to be overpowering. So you wouldn't drink it neat.
Mm-mm.
This strikes me as like an old man drink, to which I have kind of eclipsed into.
So say we all, my friend. So say we all.
And of course, for younger people, yes, and we got to get a visit from Emma the Wonder Dog. For younger people, if they're going to make a mixer, it's going to be something dead simple. 1, maybe 2 ingredients. You mix it up and you go.
Yeah, you're doing a punch, right? You're going to make like a big vat of it.
So again, it's so upfront that it doesn't lend itself well to that type of...
No. This is... Yeah, I just honestly... It doesn't have the...
refinement.
No, not that word either. It doesn't have the comedic effect that, say, a Mad Dog is going to give you, or a Boone's Farm, or Cisco.
Or even Fighting Cock.
Or even the Fighting Cock. There's nothing of that nature to it that's going to let you get some... just even some comic material out of it. There's just nothing there enough to make it funny or charming or cute. And at the same time, it's also not good enough to make it something that I want to sip and...
So apologies for the rough edit and me leaning over and looking over my shoulder a few moments ago. But backstory, Emma the Wonder Dog decided it was time for some attention, and she's still down there trying to get it. And I know you could probably see her hind end under the desk over there. Somehow, she had managed to score $1 and was eating the dollar.
You know what? If you can just stop her from eating them, just let her go, man. Just let her go.
I guess ultimately it's not a bad trade-off because this is a lot less expensive than some of her chew toys.
Oh, yeah.
And for the uninitiated out there, bulldogs will chew like hamsters. So, there we have it.
Let her ruffle around like she's looking for truffles.
I have no idea where that came from. So, there we have it. Kind of consensus. This is more like a...
Yeah.
This is an adult drink, but it's very unrefined.
Yeah.
It's a blue collar. People of the common clay of the New West. You know. Alcoholics.
Short timers.
Yeah, it's just very upfront and unrefined. So I've got one more idea that we can try to make this just a little bit more palatable. It's something very simple that I've done a lot recently, something I'm very enamored with. So I'm going to mix it up, and we're going to do a test, and I'll let you and him know what it is after we test it.
Oh.
So round 3 with our mystery cocktail with Evan Williams.
Mystery.
Yeah, it's got in this light, I realize it's kind of got a dysentery color to it, so it may not look that enticing on camera. But this is something I've been enamored with. I've been doing for a while.
It's like that weird science. What's in it? Drag it. What's in it? Drag it. See you in the emergency room.
It's a little bit more acidic than normal. I'm off a little bit because I was rushing through it.
Was ist das?
This is a variation on a maple old fashioned. This is obviously the Evan Williams, and in
which again, kind of funny. It's still there.
Yeah,
like it's not hidden.
Yeah, but
which is kind of surprising, to be honest. I didn't think it was that strong of a flavor to keep permeating through all these different mixers. But go ahead.
The hints behind this is it's the Evan Williams, obviously in a shortcut rather than using some orange zest. I used just a little splash of blood orange juice.
Oh,
and that's where the acidity comes from. And that I overdid it a little bit, so it's a little bit more acidic than it normally would be. Typically in an old fashioned, you would use either white sugar or simple syrup, or if you want to get really fancy, use some brown sugar. This variation uses maple syrup.
Oh.
That's where the sweetness comes from.
Maple syrup and blood orange. See, that's the flavor combination I would not. That's why I couldn't place it.
And in the right quantities, a little bit smoother. But this had that maple syrup gives it a little bit of a richer, thicker mouthfeel. Gives you a little bit of sweetness, but it harmonizes with the kind of a smoky, woody character of the bourbon. The big ice balls, by the way, are a godsend because they chill your drink, but they don't melt that fast. They don't have as much surface area as the same quantity of ice if it were cubes. So it doesn't water it down as readily. So I'm a big fan of these. Yeah, silicone molds. Get them on Amazon. A couple of bucks, worth every penny.
For those nerds out there, you can get the same concept in a D20 on Loot Crate for cheap.
Words of wisdom. So even with that, and those are some pretty powerful. Oh, and by the way, the last ingredient, a drop of grapefruit bitters.
Okay. Now see, I thought I was tasting grapefruit.
Yeah.
And then you said blood orange.
Yeah, it was the blood orange juice, but just one drop of grapefruit bitters.
Okay, it's interesting.
This combination, the maple old fashioned, I love. It's been one of my go-to cocktails lately. It's dead simple, just a couple ingredients. I usually don't use juice. That was a quick workaround. I usually used a zest of an orange with a Y peeler. Take a Y peeler, peel you a big hunk off. Twist it so that the essences will go into the glass, and then rub it around the lid of the glass, the edge of the glass.
Your rim job. Yeah.
There's a certain amount of elegance to it that comes with that rim job.
That's what she said.
It really highlights the flavor of a good bourbon, and I've made old fashions with Scotch and Irish whiskey too, and they work great. This again.
Now, okay. Because you've had this before, and I have not. Mm-hmm. How is the Evan Williams in it?
The cocktail is kind of like a crowded room of people. Instead of having one person in the room, just the alcohol, now you've got a crowd, you've got different ingredients, and they all talk at a different volume. In this one, you walk into the room and Evan Williams still comes up and shakes your hand.
He does. He's there. He's still there. It's funny.
He's not offensive, but he's kind of hard to ignore. It's just so overpowering. Now the sweetness and some of the smokiness or the umami flavor in the maple, I think helps round it out a little bit better. Make it a little bit more approachable.
I'll agree.
But it's still the ultimate goal of this would still be, it needs to be in a mixer somehow.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of bourbon drink tickles your fancy, this would be a good budget addition to it. If you got to cash for something a little bit more, and bourbons used to be the cheapest of the liquors, go ahead and pony up for something a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, even if it's just $1 or $2 more.
This is the liquor equivalent of a donut tire. It's there if you need it.
but hopefully you don't.
If you can do it, it'll get you. It'll get by.
It'll get by.
But if you can do better,
you can make it to the next exit.
Yeah, by all means, you maybe look for something a little bit better.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I know you guys wanted us to hopefully
embrace
the Evan Williams when you requested it, or maybe you hate Evan Williams and you want to just torture us. I'm not sure.
Well, I can't shun it, but I can't endorse it either.
To me, it's just 5 out of 10 kind of thing. It's just middle of the road.
5.5.
It's not good enough to be something I would appreciate a lot, and it's not bad enough to make me appreciate it for being so bad.
And if you're really looking for a cheap whiskey, not necessarily a bourbon, but a cheap whiskey, I could point you to a couple, and I've had that, you probably haven't. The one that screams off the top of my head, Mellow Corn. Mm. I don't believe I've inflicted Mellow Corn on him before. Mellow Corn, not the best $9.99 you can spend, and we will be reviewing that at a later date. But that is this and more. It's got that corn flavor. It's got those woody notes. It's bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof, so it'll stand up to a mixer for anything. This, the flavor is there,
but I don't.
But it leaves you wanting something more. It's like
when
I saw The Hobbit. I wanted to like it so bad. But it just... Yeah.
Peter Jackson needs to get beat like a narc at a biker rally.
So ultimately, if you like Evan Williams, I can't tell you're wrong.
No.
But if you are uninitiated, if you've never tried it before...
And you're looking at it...
Reach to something to the right or left. Because,
or up or down.
Yeah, or up or down. Because unless you really need to choose this, it's your only choice, there's probably something better out there on the shelf. And even our local Publix... Really small liquor store, limited selections, but I guarantee even in there's better to be had when it comes just to bourbons, much less whiskeys.
Correct. I have to agree.